What happens when country music royalty meets daytime TV and everything spirals out of control? Buckle up, because this story will leave you absolutely speechless. Before we get into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave a comment below, because you'll definitely want to talk about this one with everyone you know. The morning at the Today with Jenna and Friends studio started just like any other. The bright lights were set up perfectly, cameras were already rolling, and the audience buzzed with excitement. Reba McEntire, the queen of country music herself, was scheduled for what everyone thought would be a normal, friendly interview. She was there to talk about her new album, her tour dates, and maybe share a few warm stories from her long and successful career. Jenna, the cheerful and lively host, had her usual stack of questions ready. She'd done hundreds of interviews before, and today didn't seem any different. The producers had gone over Reba's new projects, her charity work, and even a few light personal questions meant to make viewers smile. Everything pointed to a smooth, feel-good segment that people could enjoy with their morning coffee. But television can be unpredictable, and that day was proof of it. When Reba walked onto the set, she looked every bit the superstar she's always been. Dressed in a sleek burgundy blazer, her signature red hair shining under the lights, she waved to the cheering crowd with that famous smile. The audience was thrilled to see her. Jenna stood up to greet her, opening her arms for the usual welcoming hug that starts each guest's segment. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the incomparable Reba McEntire," Jenna announced with her warm, practiced enthusiasm. The two women exchanged a polite hug and some quiet words that the microphones didn't quite catch before sitting down. "Reba, it's such an honor to have you with us today," Jenna began with her trademark smile. "You look absolutely beautiful, and I know our viewers can't wait to hear all about what you've been working on lately." "Thank you for having me." "Jenna," Reba replied, crossing her legs comfortably. "It's always great to be here and connect with everyone watching." The conversation started off smoothly. They chatted about Reba's latest album, what inspired her new songs, and how country music had changed over the years. Reba was relaxed, funny, and full of charm. The audience hung on every word, laughing at her light-hearted jokes and nodding along as she talked about her love for the craft. Then Jenna leaned forward slightly, that knowing tone in her voice that usually hints something more serious is coming. "Now, Reba," she said, "you've been in this business for what, over 40 years now? You must have seen so many changes, not just in music, but in how women are treated in the industry." Reba nodded thoughtfully. "Oh, absolutely. When I started, things were very different. Women had to work twice as hard to get half the credit, but I always believed in standing up for what's right and never backing down." "That's exactly what I wanted to ask you about," Jenna continued. And right then, something in her tone made Reba's expression tighten slightly. "Recently, there's been a lot of talk about older artists, especially women, and whether they should gracefully step aside to make space for younger talent. What do you think about that?" The studio went noticeably quieter. Reba's smile faded just a little, her eyes more focused now. "Well, that's an interesting question, Jenna. Are you asking if I should retire?" "Not exactly retire," Jenna said quickly, backpedaling. "But don't you think there's something to be said for knowing when your time has passed? You're 68 now. Isn't there a point where staying in the spotlight becomes more about ego than artistry?" That question landed like a stone. Reba straightened up, her posture firm, and her polite smile turned into something sharper. "I'm sorry, Jenna, but did you just suggest my career is about ego?" Her voice stayed calm, but there was a clear edge in it now. "Because that's not just wrong, it's disrespectful." Jenna seemed to realize she'd hit a nerve, but instead of stopping, she pushed further. "I'm just saying maybe there's a discussion to be had about giving space to new artists. Younger singers are struggling to be heard, and when icons like yourself stay on top, it can make it harder for fresh voices to get a chance." "Fresh voices," Reba repeated, her warmth completely gone now. "Jenna, let me explain something. I've earned every bit of my success through years of hard work, discipline, and love for what I do. I didn't get here by luck, and I'm not going to step aside because someone thinks my time is up." The tension in the room became heavy. The producers behind the cameras started shifting, sensing the interview was heading in a dangerous direction. But Jenna either didn't notice or thought she was making great television, because she pressed on. "But Reba, don't you think your generation has already had a long run? Isn't it fair to let new artists have their time? Maybe it's a little selfish to hold on to that space." That word, selfish, changed everything. Reba leaned forward slightly, her voice dropping into a calm but cutting tone. "Did you just call me selfish for doing what I love? For sharing music with people who still want to hear it?" "I'm just asking what people think but won't say," Jenna replied nervously. "Your last album didn't exactly light up the charts like your earlier ones. Maybe that's the market telling you something?" For a second, everything froze. Then Reba spoke, her voice powerful and steady. "My last album debuted at number 4 on the Billboard Country Chart and number 13 on the Billboard 200. It went gold in 6 months. So maybe you should have done your homework before ambushing me on live TV." The audience murmured, clearly uncomfortable now. They weren't sure if they should clap or stay silent. Jenna's co-host, Marcus, finally spoke up. "Ladies, maybe we could, talk about Reba's tour dates. I'm sure the fans would love that, but Reba wasn't letting it go." "No, Marcus. I think Jenna still has a lot she wants to say about my career. So let's hear it all." Jenna, realizing she was in deep water, tried to fix it, but only made things worse. "Look, I don't mean to be harsh. I just think maybe there comes a time when experience should make room for fresh energy. The industry is different now. Streaming, social media, younger artists understand it better." Reba sat up straighter, her southern accent deepening with emotion. "Fresh energy, huh? I was bringing fresh energy before most of these young stars were even born. I fought for creative control, for equal pay, for the right to make the music I believed in. Don't talk to me about keeping up. I helped build this industry." The studio audience looked shocked. Some stared silently, others whispered to each other. A few even pulled out phones, sensing they were watching something unforgettable. The producers were signaling to cut to commercial, but it was far too late. "And another thing," Reba continued, her voice rising, "this idea that women should step aside gracefully is nothing but sexism and ageism wrapped in a polite question. No one ever asks a man if he's too old to perform. You wouldn't say that to a male artist my age, would you?" Jenna tried to interrupt. "That's not what I meant." "Oh, but it is," Reba shot back. "You invited me here to talk about my work, and instead decided to question my right to even be here. Let me tell you something, Jenna. My shows are sold out. My fans range from teenagers to grandparents. My streaming numbers grow every year. So maybe your idea of being out of touch doesn't hold up too well, does it?" The crowd began to applaud, many nodding in agreement. Reba's words hit home. Marcus tried again to move on. "Reba, your fans clearly adore you, and I think Jenna was just—" "Marcus," Reba said, holding up her hand. "She said enough." "And I've heard enough too." She started to remove her microphone. Jenna's face turned pale. "Reba, please, let's not end like this. I respect you deeply. Maybe we just got off track." Reba stood up, microphone in hand, looking down at Jenna with calm anger. "A misunderstanding? No, dear. You made yourself very clear. And so have I." The studio was silent. You could feel every eye on them. "You know what the real issue is?" Reba said firmly. "It's not that I'm too old. It's that you didn't prepare. You don't understand my achievements, and you don't respect what I've built." Jenna swallowed hard. "Reba, I apologize if I offended you. It wasn't my intention." "Your intention?" Reba repeated. "Your intention was to embarrass me. Well, congratulations. You've made your point loud and clear." The audience shouted words of support. "We love you, Reba," someone yelled. The crowd clapped, rallying behind her. Marcus tried one last time. "Maybe we can start over, fresh slate." Reba gave him a soft smile. "Marcus, you're kind. But some things can't be undone." She turned to Jenna, who looked shaken. "You wanted to talk about grace? Let me show you some. I won't sit here and be insulted on live TV." She placed the mic gently on the table. I've been in this business long enough to know when something isn't right, and I'm not going to pretend it is. The cameras stayed rolling as she picked up her purse. The audience was completely silent, every person aware they were seeing something historic. "To everyone here," Reba said, turning to the crowd, "thank you for your kindness and support. I'm sorry you had to see this." The audience rose, clapping loudly. Jenna reached out one last time. "Reba, please don't leave like this. We can fix this."